Did you do anything in that St. Joe's game?
No, I was strictly playing defense. Delonte West was tough. That's a pro. Oh, my God. That step back.
Wait, hold on. 40 minutes. You didn't even get a rest.
No, I
You
played the whole game.
40. 6 for 11 from the field.
That was me?
12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
Oh, I was nice that game. I thought I ain't getting double figures.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese is rough. I don't know if you've been there in a while. They look like they're trying to go to business and they can't.
All new material.
They filed for bankruptcy and they're still open. They called Blockbuster and they're like, how do you get out? We want out.
Nate Bargatze. Friday, May 31st, FedEx Forum. Tickets available at FedEx Forum Box Office or Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Outback Presents. Nate Bargatze, the Be Funny Tour.
Did I invent this? Low-key?
Did you?
I spent years calling my ex-producer Cowboy Carson, and now Beyonce. She decides she wants to dabble in country, in the genre. Now she's calling her album Cowboy Carter.
When she's doing her next concert, and she says, hey, my new album's about to come out, Cowboy Carter.
Inspired by the Gary Parrish Show.
Shout out GP in Memphis.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
He's looking for the hot hand. Jaren got the step, got the flush. There's no layups on that one.
Electric, rowdy, intense. They bring the same mentality that they bring anywhere into the building. If they were mad about something, they're bringing it in. If they were happy about something, they're bringing it in. So we need all that energy times 1,000.
It's time for Grizz Beat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Grizz Beat. Can you believe it? Only 2 games left in the regular season for the Memphis Grizzlies. Well, I guess you can believe it because it's been a long, hard road for the guys in Beale Street Blue with all the injuries that they've had this year. But you know, there's a silver lining because the Cavalry will return next year, and there's a lot of excitement going into this offseason. As always, joining us here in studio at 191 Beale Street, we have the most illustrious panel ever assembled. And let's start out with the great Anthony Sane, who joins us from Bluff City Media. Sane, how's it going with you, young man?
Man, I'm good, Jarvis. Good to be here as always. Man.
You had a poll out today that I jumped on today. That was pretty good.
I saw you had some interaction on this.
Yeah, tell us what that poll was about.
I had a poll saying if you just removed all contract situations and all these type of things, you could just if you could only pick one player to be on the Grizzlies roster next year, would it be Jake LaRavia, Lamar Stevens, Zaire Williams, or John Conchar? And Lamar Stevens is running away with the poll so far.
Yeah, the one I saw, he was like 59% when I voted on that thing. And did you pick Lamar?
Yeah, I would have picked
Jake LaRavia.
If I had 2 picks, I would have picked Lamar twice. To be honest with you.
Yeah, young man. You know, when you come out with the beard and no mustache, that means
it's some serious business about it.
You're a strong dude there,
Yeah.
and that's what he has been for the Grizz. I think he'd be a 10-5 guy going forward, no matter what he does. And also joining us as usual here in studio, we have the great Michael Wallace, as my grandson would call him. He's of course the guru of Grind City Media. Got the HBCU night long sleeve tee that he's racking right now. And you know what? I got to tell you, well, first of all the graphics that they had for the whole Black History Month and everything they had in HBCU night at FedEx Forum were just totally off the chain. They mimicked some on the shirt right there. And what kind of feedback did you get from that?
Man, you just realize how much Memphis is a melting pot of a lot of different people that went to a lot of different places, right? Memphis is a homegrown state, a homegrown city, right? But people go outside of the city to go to colleges and different things of that nature. And I found out, man, and I've learned over the 8 years that I've been here that just about every HBCU in the South has someone from
some
Memphis,
representative.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those, like I said, everybody comes together. So, you know, we're 5 years strong in doing our HBCU night initiatives in February. And it's just growing and growing and growing from there, man. So it's always something that's important.
You know, one thing that we've seen as the season has gone along is, it's been a slog of a season, of course, but, we've seen the support really hasn't dwindled in the crowds that much. You go to the games, you expect a Tuesday night game against whoever. There's not going to be anybody there. No, the crowds have been really good, and they've stuck with the team, as the season has gone along, no matter who's in or out of the lineup. And, the last few games where we've had, I think they even put up a graphic of the guy that they just signed. They didn't know who he was. They just said question mark, question mark, question mark on the TV screen. That's about the way it's gone. And but, when you have that situation, the Grizzlies, they do know that they got help on the way, but they also know that with the season winding down, it's time to shut down some guys. And, we knew that this was coming. Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Coach Taylor Jenkins says, well, that looks like there's only 2 games left. We may as well go ahead and bubble wrap them and, keep them preserved for the rest of the year. I'm pretty much agree with that. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. And, Desmond was dealing with some back soreness, right? And it's you got to be real careful in terms of classifying something as an injury or maintenance or rehabbing and all of those kind of things. If we're in the middle of a playoff battle right now, those guys will tape it up and do what they got to do to get out there. But what you don't want to do is make an uncomfortable situation turn into a strain that turns into an injury that could potentially turn into a surgery. So, it's probably best. I don't think either one of those guys have anything else to prove. Jaren hit his 65 game benchmark that he was shooting for, obviously, and Desmond wanted to come back from that foot issue, came back for a stretch, and now both of those guys are gone. So, now we can basically start the exit interview process with 2 of actually all 3 of them, the 3 big leaders on this team. But for today's show purposes, man, looking at Desmond and Jaren in terms of how their season went overall.
Yeah, let's start out talking with Jaren, Anthony. The way he rolled through the year, there were some games, maybe he's not a good rebounder. This doesn't look like it's working. But, man, he started to come on and just took on that role. He's playing just about every night, and he's playing sometimes where you don't think, well, he doesn't really have to play, but the competitor in him puts him out. And, of course, the 65-game rule that the NBA instituted, you got to do that to, be eligible for any kind of postseason awards. But awards or none, I think that last few games, I think he put up a 40-piece. He had a 35-piece. He's just showing that, wow, he really can put that scoring load on his shoulders when a lot of guys have been out this season.
Yeah, I tell you what, I watched the Marc Gasol documentary that came out a few weeks ago. And another shameless plug, I guess. But I watched it a few weeks ago. And there were moments where Marc was explaining why he was so frustrated about certain things. And I remember looking at Marc a certain way of how he was then. But then when I watched it through Jaren's eyes this season, I said, okay, I understand Marc better now. You know what I mean? Because, and I'm saying all that to say that I think Jaren deserves a lot of credit for the way he handled this season. You know what I mean? When your number 1 guy, John Morant, was down 25 games, and he comes back for a handful of games, and he's out for the season. Then Dez goes down, and Marcus Smart is gone, and you're the only guy out there.
And you don't have your big boy in the middle,
right? And you don't have any other bigs with you. You've got like 30-something new teammates you've had to play with this year, and I think that I commend him for the season he's had, and he's taking his offensive game to another level. He probably won't have to go there next year too much at all with the other guys coming back in tow, but I definitely commend Jaren for the season he had. And when he hit 65. I said, yeah, Jaren's done. When I saw he didn't play the next game, I was like, nah, I doubt he's playing again. I hope he can make one of the all-defensive teams for that and possibly get some All-NBA consideration. I doubt he will, but I don't knock him at all for taking that time away. Same thing with Dez, like Mike was saying. No need in adding any injury to those, significant injury to those guys. Just let them, sit the rest of the season out. I know the fans hate it, and I know it's very bad basketball to watch. When you don't have anybody who's, NBA level talents really, except for, Gigi, you got Jake who's on the team. He's an NBA player, and, you got, whatever they're throwing out there. You know what I mean?
Whoever it is.
I know that's tough. And so, I do commend those guys for playing the games that they actually did play.
Yeah, before we get to Dez, Michael, I want to say that looking at Jaren, I think his average is up over 22 points a game. And the way that he has adjusted and, either been back to the basket, but he's really just gotten really proficient in being able to put the ball on the floor from top of the key and get to the rack against anybody.
Yeah.
And that game they had a week ago at Milwaukee, where he just totally abused the wannabe defensive player of the year,
Brook Lopez,
and Brook Lopez, and just I'm going whenever I want to go. And
Yeah.
I laughed when he had challenged Giannis early in the game, put a shoulder into him. Giannis went down, and Jaren scored on the little baby floater in the lane. It's like, hey, this guy, he has found something now that he can do, and his confidence level looks like it's been through the roof now.
And what you see, too, though, is that all of these things that he's improved in, all you have to do is look at him physically now.
Yes.
And go back to when he was a rookie in the second year. He's physically a different player now.
I like
His
to call it he's
shoulders,
gotten his man
arms,
muscles now.
His base, his core is a lot stronger. And he's going out there and dictating physically against guys. Like Jaren was always, okay, how can I finesse my way? Through the first 3 or 4 years, he took a lot of threes early on. And the coaching staff at that time called for him to do that, right? Because you wanted to create as much space for Marc at that time during that year they were together. But now, when you look at Jaren, he's saying, all right, I'm the biggest, strongest guy here on the floor. Most nights.
Right.
And I'm not afraid of this matchup anymore. And I do think what Anthony Davis did to the Grizzlies last year in the playoffs put something in the back of Jaren's mind that said, okay, enough's enough. I'm 5-6 years into my career right now.
Right.
I'm basically halfway through what most people are going to get in this league. So he certainly showed that, averaging career high in points, averaging career high in field goal attempts, averaging career high in steals, and a career high in assists. So he's rounding out his game, and now he has to put that in a bottle, bring it back next season. Still has to do a little bit more commitment to rebounding. And it's not a knock on him, but when you see Jordan Goodwin go grab 19,
19,
right? Jaren doesn't have 19 in a week.
6'4" guard.
Sometimes Jaren can go a week and not get 19 rebounds, right? So
yeah.
that's something that I do think he has, and I think he's capable. But I think that's the other part of his game, the one part of his game that's.
Well, do you think that, a large part in that he did start his career, basically out on the wings, on the perimeter, shooting a lot of threes, that takes him away from the goal right away. And then now he's driving more, so there is a potential maybe for more offensive rebounds, but he's basically starting his offense outside the free throw line.
But so is Jordan Goodwin.
Well,
so is any guard. So is any
true.
perimeter player. And they're fine. Like our guards, the Grizzlies guards make up some of the best rebounding wings that we have.
Oh, yeah, Ja was averaging, what, seven rebounds
You know what I'm saying?
a game.
Those guys. So the thing is, the other question you can ask, and I know we'll move on, but if he's going for block shots, that takes him out of position.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's more of the case that this is. But with the Grizzlies clearly needing someone else to have an interior rebounding presence, I think Jaren, if you told, like I do know this, and I've been around NBA players enough to know, if you told Jaren and say, look, I want you to go out and get 15 rebounds tonight, he'll go out and get 15 rebounds tonight. He has the skill set to go do it.
Right.
But it's just what parts of his game is he going to have to compromise to try to do that? And it's just got to fit a little bit better. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
And one thing I got to add before we move on, with him being able to drive like that, what's that going to do with Ja when he comes back next year? Because Ja's the one that basically dictates that offense, and they try to spread that lane out so he can get in there. So a little bit of figuring out to do as the lineup goes along and how you're going to do. But one thing that was good to see, getting Desmond Bane back in the lineup for the games that they did have him. And I'll tell you what, he really showed that, hey, look, he had the foot injury he came back from, looked really, really strong. The stroke has been there. I'm not worried about Desmond Bane going into next season.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He missed, a lot of games this year, and, he's still got to get more to the NBA flow. And he's the kind of guy who he probably could have set out the entire season. He may have came back a little early with the injury he had, but I think once you get this full off season with him, when he gets to totally rehab and recover and get his conditioning up to par, he'll come to camp looking much more like the prime Desmond Bane we saw early this year and some last year as well.
And what we saw last year, we saw a lot of downhill Dez, and that's still part of his game. And Michael, I know you as a former guard, you like to see guys that are hard-nosed and be able to get that thing to the rack and score through contact, and Dez can do that and get your three-point plays that way.
Man, and Dez's defense never put Dez in the same sentence as me when I was a guard. That was
no, man, that's why you're the great Michael Wallace. Come on.
But the
Grambling Tigers, which made the NCAA tournament
that's right.
this
Shout
year.
out to Dante Jackson, coach, man. We're going to have him on a couple of our shows coming up soon. But having said that, Dez is one of those guys that, to me, look, everybody is this team is like a rock band, right? A great band, and everybody has a unique set of skills and talent and temperament. To me, Desmond Bane is the heart and soul of the Memphis Grizzlies. He is.
That's a big statement.
And it is because the thing is, he's the one that has he's the most stable. He's the most mentally tough. I think he's the guy that when the going gets tough, you're not going to rattle him.
Right.
When you need to throw an elbow out there, he'll go throw an elbow and get up in somebody's face.
He'll be there. Doesn't matter, Draymond, whoever. He'll be right up there with it.
So he's the protector. He's the provider. I'm going to go get a bucket when we need to get a bucket. I'm going to go hit a jump shot when I need to hit a jump shot. I could do all of these kind of things, right?
Of course, it helps when you swole like he is.
It is. That doesn't hurt.
You don't have to worry about too much.
But I do know for him, it doesn't sit well with him that now he dragged his toe through last season. Right. Until he needed surgery on it in the offseason. And now this foot surfaced midway through this season that knocked him out of almost 2.5 months. So he starts a max contract next year.
Right.
So he's going to be held to a different standard now.
Yeah, that's something that people don't remember, that he is the most highest paid player on the team. That's not Ja.
Right. And I think he's ready for that. And I think next season, if you're going to say who can we rely on night in and night out to give us 25 and 5, Desmond is the one I think can do that, and then everybody else will fill in behind him. He's not the quintessential franchise anchor. That's Ja, right? He's not the guy that's going to kind of put the load on his back in terms of interior stuff. That's Jaren. But the one guy that can bring it all together is Dez in terms of leadership.
Well, the Grizzlies have always needed outside shooting, and Dez is a sniper.
Yeah.
He is a professional shooter, professional scorer, and when he gets that, he can go on a heater at any time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that keeps the defenses spread out, because and he'll pull up from 30 every now and then and knock them down. And I really like that about him. Anthony, you think maybe he's got some all-star projections in his future here?
I definitely
next
see
year?
that. I definitely can see that for Dez for sure, depending on how good we are as a team. You know what I mean? He was. A couple of years ago, he was really on pace to do that. A couple of years ago, and then this year he came out, going crazy again. I could definitely see that in Dez's future for sure. And like Mike was saying, there might be some situations where, Dez is a guy who's called upon to be the leading scorer. I've always said that I believe that the best version of this Grizzlies team may be a team where Ja Morant is not the leading scorer on the team, where those other guys, whether it's Bane, Jaren, whoever it is. I think the highest ceiling for this team is if someone like Dez is the leading scorer instead of Ja.
Okay, let's talk about what's next up right now for the Grizz. You can see the Lakers are on tap once again, and for the final time this season. They were just here not long ago, and they did their thing. But they're currently 9th in the West. They're locked into the play-in tournament. 6th in the NBA in assists, almost 30. You got 28.5 assists a game. 8th in scoring, 117.9. That's no problem for them. Of course, they got LeBron James on their roster, and for Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves has been a solid player from Rui Hachimura. They got a lot of guys that can play. But the Lakers and Grizzlies, by the way, they split the last 10 games. But the Lakers have won 2 of 3 this season. But this season you got to throw it out. This is a one-off year because of all the injuries suffered by Memphis. But looking at the Lakers as they come in here, they are pretty much locked into where they're going to play. And, when you got a situation like that, you think we'll see all of their guys coming in to the Forum this weekend, Anthony saying?
I know LeBron has a good time whenever he comes here. I know he has a lot of fan turnout when he comes to Memphis. I'm sure he'll give it one more. I don't think he'll play a lot of minutes, but I'm sure LeBron will give it a little tick when he comes to Memphis. You know how y'all like to come out and celebrate LeBron.
Well, it was weird. The last game, we were expecting a lot of, I call them faker fans in the crowd.
I was trying to be political with my response, but yeah, exactly.
And there were people here, dressed in their Laker garb, but they weren't as vociferous or as wild crazy as they have been. I think that's a pretty good sign for
They
the
were
Grizz.
cheering for LeBron, and also were cheering louder when Brandon Clark came out.
Yes.
It's the same people. So
And I think that
who
was
y'all here for?
So I think that was a really good deal. And the Grizzlies gave him a battle for a while there. And you got cats like Lamar Stevens, whom I love. And Jaren, we won't see him this game because Coach says he's done for the year, which I don't mind. I understand totally when you got to keep your eye on the prize, right, Michael, when you're looking forward to next season.
But when you talk about eye on the prize, the Lakers still have some movement that they can make, right? They want to get – they're still within striking distance of moving out of the second-tier play-in at the 9-10. They can get to solidify the 7-8.
So they'll be
so
hungry.
that gives you a chance. If you lose that first game, you got one more to play to secure the 8th seed. We saw what they did as a 7th seed last year. They came and knocked off the Grizzlies. So the Lakers still have something to play for. And I do expect to see Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and if one of them is out, I definitely think we'll see one or the other if that's the case. But Lakers still got work to do before this weekend is up.
Yeah, they still have work to do, and it's like, wow, do I feel sad that the season's going to end, and that the Lakers are going to come in and they're going to try to romp us, which, that's what they should do if you look at the rosters on paper, but it may not happen. The Grizz, even with guys that are just Jack White and dudes like that just coming in, they just got here. They're getting 20 minutes a game. Mm-hmm. There's something about the Grizz culture, I guess. I don't know if I can even call that. I'm going to get to the question of the week now. This is a big question. Take a look at the question of the week. Who faces the most pressure to have a breakthrough season in 24-25? Is it John Morant, the head coach, Taylor Jenkins, Zach Kleiman, the general manager, Jaren Jackson Jr., or Desmond Bane? That's a lot of guys to think about. Several of the guys, John only played, 9 games this year. Jaren came out and had a tremendous season, I thought. Dez did what Dez does this year. And then Zach Kleiman, I will save my comments for last. I'm going to start out with Michael Wallace, who faces the most pressure to have a breakthrough in 24-25.
Man, this is a tough one, right? I'm split, and I know we're going to get through it real quick, because we want to go to break real quick. But I want to say for me, it is Ja Morant. And it's Ja Morant only because we saw the off-court issue derail him last season. We saw the injury issue derail him this season. And if you're going to be an elite player in this league, I don't know if you can have 3 seasons of controversy and issues and injuries and still want to be up there. I think he's seen Anthony Edwards take a major leap. I think he's seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander take a major leap. And they both carried their teams to the top of the Western Conference. Ja Morant is going to have that kind of pressure to do the same thing, but I think he also has enough people around him that can help him carry that load.
All right, your vote is Ja Morant. Anthony Sane, what say you?
I like what Mike said. I hadn't really thought about the pressure that Ja's going to have on him based on guys around him and his age group and younger than him and Anthony Edwards being able to take their teams to that next level in the conference. But I'm saying Taylor Jenkins for sure. And I'm definitely saying that because this roster is going to be good next year. You're going to be you'd expect that they'll do something over the summer to solidify some of the front court issues. And, you've got wing depth. You've got 2 hidden gems in Vince Williams and G.G. Jackson. All these type of things. Marcus Smart is going to be healthy next year. All these things. Talent. Ja, Jaren, Dez, you got to have all this talent on this team, right? This is a team that's going to be ready to compete, like championship compete. And he's going to have to prove that he's a coach that can get that team to the next level because him being here for a long time would be something that's not the norm. Like most of the time when a coach starts off with a young team, he doesn't make it to the other side of the hump with those type of teams. Once they get to being a championship competing team, the coach who started with them isn't there for that. So I think he's got that pressure on him because if he can get this team to the point where they're looking like legit contenders next year, after the playoffs, that's going to be something commendable for him. So I think that puts that added pressure on him for sure.
Okay, so we got Ja Morant, we got Taylor Jenkins. I am going to say the GM, King Kleiman, Zach Kleiman. Why do I say that? Because I think it's very important who he can find or convince make the money right or make the right move to put in there in that pivot spot next to Jaren next year. If you get somebody, if the Grizz can find someone to go in there, whether it be, a lightning rod guy like, one of the guys we saw from Cleveland, they're not coming because they're under contract. Somebody long and lean who can run the floor, or a big lumbering dude that can, just stay in the post and grab you rebounds.
Or just nail in the draft.
It could come in the draft. I'm kind of thinking it'll be free agency because I don't know if you can find a rookie ready to go for a championship like this team is poised to do. But I'm going to put the pressure on my fellow Mud Island mate, Zach Kleiman, and I think he welcomes that. He and Richard Cho and all the other guys in the front office, they welcome that. They've done a good job in finding hidden gems in the draft. Whatever the pick is, they say this is not a great draft. A lot of people like Donovan Clingan from UConn. He might be able to do it, but you don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be someone that is already established in the league that would want to come to Memphis and play. And I think, anytime you got a team with Ja Morant on it, Michael, as you said, Ja Morant, the pressure's on him. Pressure's always on him. We saw he proved it to me when he came back after the 25-game suspension and boom, hits the game winner at New Orleans, scored 36 points or whatever. He can do it. We've seen him do it. I think we'll see what the front office can do as far as pressure-wise. Now, when we come back on Grizz Beat in our next segment, we're going to have a very, very special guest for you, nationally known, and we will tell you who that is, and you will hear from him. Should I say his name? Marc Spears from ESPN. Coming up on Grizz Beat after the break.
There was some sad news coming out of the WWE. Michael Jones, also known as Virgil, passed away. He's a Virginia Union alum, so he graduated from an HBCU. He got his start in Memphis, right?
Oh, man, you're absolutely right. He started in Memphis in 1985.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Real country music with Cody Johnson live Saturday, April 13th at FedEx Forum. Country's best. The Leather Tour with Cody Johnson. With special guest Justin Moore. Also featuring Drake Milligan. VIP and reserve seats on sale at Ticketmaster.com in the FedEx Forum box office. Cody Johnson.
We were without internet from 11 in the morning until what ended up being around 8 o'clock at night. I'd be the first to go in an apocalypse. I just would not even know what to do. Chris is over here like, who needs internet anyway? Let's just be one with the land. And I'm like, frantic. I'm like, I can't do anything.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Don't Worry, Be Fluffy World Tour.
The minute you get into a brand new relationship, like magic, you know who really notices just how happy you are, guys? Other women, not your woman. Look how happy he is. I bet I can change that.
Friday, May 10th, FedEx Forum. Get your tickets now at fluffyguy.com. Don't miss a Memphis Don't Worry, Be Fluffy World Tour.
Welcome back to Grizz Beat. It's one of our favorite segments of the show each week. It's our NBA segment, and we got a special guest, man. My brother from another mother. We've been doing this for 25 years in the NBA, and we're proud to be joined on Grizz Beat this week by Hall of Famer, Kurt Gowdy Award winner for 2023. He went into the Hall of Fame right alongside Dwayne Wade, Pau Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki, Becky Hammond, and that great class that went in last year. This is my guy from ESPN and Anscape, Marc Spears. Marc, thanks a lot for joining myself, Jarvis Greer, and Anthony Sane. Man, Marc, I know you're in Memphis. You're in Memphis for a worthy cause.
I know, man. I'm sorry for not being in the house with y'all, man. Time is so tight, but
that's good. That's good.
I feel connected. I'm putting my hand right there, man. Yeah.
Now let me tell the people why you're here, and then you can explain what that means to you. Marc Spears is in town for the Steak and Burgers event that benefits the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. Yeah, they're going to be here basically raising funds and raising awareness for all of the programs that are here for Boys and Girls Club International. Do we still have Marc here with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marc is here for that. He's going to be the keynote speaker out at the Kent. That event is going to be at the Kent tonight from 5:30 to 8:30. Steak and Burgers event, their annual celebration and fundraising arm for the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. And they couldn't find a classier guy than Marc Spears to bring in as the keynote speaker. So, Marc, what does this event mean for you? And just sort of give us the background on the connection that brought you here to Memphis for that event tonight.
Yeah, man. Thanks for all the love, though, man. You're a Memphis legend now, man. you're Tennessee through and through, brother. I'm proud of you.
I make that Memphis, Marc, and then you'll have it spot on.
Okay, all right. I'll keep it to Memphis. So Matisse Moore, who's relatively new in charge of the Boys and Girls Club, he's the president and CEO. We actually played junior college together. Wow. Foothill College. He was a year ahead of me. He's the OG. Great power forward in college. Played at Akron University as well. And a couple months ago, he hit me up and was telling me, one, about his great job, and then two, how he would like for me to come in and be the keynote speaker for this amazing event. And I'm excited to be a part of it, excited to see Matisse shine and try to raise money to help these kids, man. I mean, I think, I didn't grow up with a Boys and Girls Club or YMCA or nothing like that. And, I had a crazy event when I was a kid where I had permission to shoot hoops at a neighbor's front yard because there was no basketball court or place to go. And the cops tried to arrest me for it. The lady next door didn't like me shooting a ball that was going into her garden. She called the cops on me. And the cops told me if I didn't leave, they were going to take me downtown. I went home. Luckily, didn't get arrested as a fifth grader, which is sad that they were doing this. And my dad, stunned, heard about this, went and got me a basketball hoop and goal and put it, on my garage. And luckily, I had an amazing father and mother that, had the ability, even though it stretched them, to do something like that. But, what if I hadn't? I certainly could have went in the wrong direction. Upset about the cops, upset about not having an adequate place to play, and, listen to the streets. And I think that is a situation that is a problem for a lot of kids, especially underprivileged kids around the country, is they don't have a positive environment to go to for sports, for education, for entertainment, with role models. And the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Memphis, offers that. And so being here to help raise money that could help make a better life for these kids, which ultimately brings a better Memphis. If you really think about it, if these kids are doing well, the city's doing better. And so I'm very excited to be a part of this event tonight.
Mark, I'm sitting alongside, two hardcore, to-the-bone Memphis guys right here. Anthony Sane, born and raised in this city.
I know, man. He done called me out because I said Tennessee. He was upset about the state.
Yeah, so that was Jarvis. I got the same sentence, but it was Jarvis.
But they take this personally, man. Anthony Sane is in the community, man. He's in the streets. He's doing a lot of things to bring African Americans together in the media space. He's doing it his own way. He has his own brand. He has his own network that he's doing over there with Bluff City Media. And then Jarvis is the legend, man. You're probably going to pass some streets that are named after Jarvis Greer, who's been in the media industry for 40-plus years. Born and raised University of Memphis.
Thank you.
Legendary player right there.
There you
from
go.
that standpoint.
Yeah,
so
man,
I want
to
let them get a question in for you before we want you to join us to walk through these league stories. We're going to blitz through the league stories and updates real quick, and I just wanted them to get a piece with you real quick.
Go ahead, Anthony. I will defer to Mr. Sane,
Mark,
the youth of Memphis.
Mark, what's it like being a black man doing what you're doing and have such an inspiration on so many young up-and-coming media members?
You know what? I'm really blessed to work for ESPN's Landscape, which we write about race and culture and sports. They don't hold my hand. They don't tell me what to write. A lot of what I write kind of touches a chord on people. It's honest, though. I write a lot about what, black players are going through off the court, things that are triumphant, things that are bringing tears to their eyes, telling their stories. I'm also writing about the LGBTQ plus community, writing in women trying to get a footing in the NBA. Even, I just came back from South Africa where I was at the Basketball Africa League at a couple of their games, and also went on a safari. Didn't Joakim Noah play for the Grizzlies for a minute?
Yes, a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. With Joakim Noah, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's great. So, I have an amazing job, and I also, take mentoring really, really seriously through the National Association of Black Journalists. Really try to help the next generation best I can to not be me, to be better than me.
Yeah.
And so any way I could help, any inspiration I could give, man, that's something that I'm supposed to do.
And Mark, we really appreciate, you on the national level. It's like, it's hard to say, you're the torchbearer, you're carrying the flame for everyone, because that's you get kind of pigeonholed in that when you are like a prominent black person in the media. But I wanted to ask you this question about the latest thing that's going on in the women's game. We just saw Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the whole thing, LSU, Iowa, and all that, and how one team was made to
I'm
be.
an LSU guy, by the way.
Okay, I got you. Well, one team, I think it was an LA Times headline. They had like the milk and cookies versus the dirty debutantes, and how that went. Oh, I see. There you go. Hey, got your Tiger Pride. You go ahead and have that. You
Go
deserve
Tigers.
it. You got that GEAUX, right? And so,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and
I got
how do you-
that MAS. I got that MASDERS.
Oh, okay. I hear you. Maybe a little Bobby Boucher coming up in that. But it's like, how do you see all that playing out as the way the national media is portraying something that's really a great thing for women's basketball, and that you've got the greatest scorer in the game, Caitlin Clark, and you've got one of the greatest teams. LSU won the title last year, South Carolina this year, but Caitlin Clark was getting all the accolades and all the they were the poster.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny. I say if you ain't if they ain't hating, you ain't popping, right? So the fact that we're talking about this right now,
right,
something that we weren't talking about years before, countless years before. This is great for women's basketball that people are debating, and did South Carolina get enough just due, and how good is Caitlin Clark? I think it's amazing. I actually went to one LSU basketball game this year, and it was a women's game when they played South Carolina at home.
Oh, I
brought
bet
my
that was
mom
crazy.
to the game.
Yeah,
and that was amazing. And so this is certainly a renaissance time for women's basketball. And the thing I think will be interesting with Caitlin Clark is, I do think women's college basketball has been on the upswing for several years now, right? It hasn't translated to the WNBA. If you ask most sports fans to name 5 WNBA players, they couldn't. I think now, though, with Caitlin Clark, and I saw like 40 of her games, which is probably most of her games, are going to be available on television. That's the WNBA's effort to get those eyes to finally pay attention to what I think is a really good league. I mean, I believe they only have 12 teams. They need more really good women's college basketball players are getting cut from this league. So I think that the players, they need to probably incorporate Caitlin Clark in a way that probably the PGA should have did with Tiger Woods instead of hating on him when he came in, because she's going to bring eyes to the game the way Tiger Woods did. But if you're watching her and you're watching all these games, what, you're not going to see the other people?
True.
Oh man, I like Aja Williams. Aja Wilson. Oh man, I like Diana Taurasi. Like you're gonna Candace Parker. Wow, like you're gonna start paying attention to other women in the league, right? And so I think it's going to be great for the league to have nearly 20 million people watching. Is incredible. It's basically the Caitlin Clark, South Carolina effect. There's just so many women I was watching, and this was the first year that I watched more women's basketball than men's in college. First year I knew more about their teams and the NCAA tournament teams on the men's side, and that was a great thing.
And the level of play has increased too. Yeah. Now that
I think it's been good, but you still needed that dynamic star, right? That scorer. You still needed that dominant team with that coach that everybody just loves, in Dawn Staley. You needed the villain, and LSU will be your villain. We're always the villain, right? We'll take it, but if they ain't hating, you ain't popping, right?
You got that right, yeah.
I think women's college basketball, like Juju Watkins,
she's on
tough.
the come up.
Hidalgo from Notre Dame, like my girl Flaw J from LSU. Like there's some talent left, and there's still going to be some big eyes on women's college basketball going forward.
Mark, as those, basically what you guys are talking about right now, it's coming full circle with one of the stories that I know you're familiar with, one of the personalities and people you're familiar with, Lindsey Harding, Sacramento G League's coach, getting a chance, according to Adrian Wojnarowski's report last week, that she's going to get a chance or has gotten a chance to interview for the Charlotte Hornets vacancy. She was a former number one overall pick, had a great career as a player, transitioned into coaching where she's a coaching superstar at the G League level. What do you make of, number one, her getting this opportunity? We've seen Becky Hammon, your Hall of Fame classmate, go through some of this same thing. But at what point, and are we ready as an NBA to actually make an offer and hire and make this something that is actually results versus intentions when it comes to opening the door?
I hope so. I mean, she's proven that she could coach on the men's side. She's been with the Kings probably like for 4 seasons now. Done a fantastic job and got this G League opportunity and was Coach of the Year. I really think that, and I noticed this from sideline reporters and other women in the media, man, black men love black women and certainly, respond well to their leadership. And so there's no surprise to me that she did well. Interestingly, 20 years ago, Stephanie Reddy, who's now a TNT sideline reporter, was coaching in the G League. And me and her talk about this from time to time, and she don't like when I bring it up. I'm like, Steph, you were doing this 20 years ago. If you didn't leave to go to the media, you might have been a head coach in the NBA already. Don't say that. But she was doing it 20 years ago, and she certainly was a pioneer in that, the first woman to win a game in the G League in an interim capacity. But this is fantastic for women's basketball, for Becky, for Lindsay, and I know Lindsay could do a fantastic job. One might wonder, does it have to be a Jackie Robinson situation where is the Hornets the right job for her, right? There's going to be so much pressure to succeed, and it's certainly a tough job. But hey, Brandon Miller's amazing. If they could get their point guard healthy, ball, he could ball. So it may be a better job than it looks, And I'm curious to see what happens with that. And I'm sure while the Hornets are in a real rebuilding situation, if she gets the opportunity, she's going to take it. Because nothing has come to her easy anyway.
Mark, I had one more question for you. You came into journalism basically doing print journalism, writing, traditional media, those type of things. The climate has definitely changed. You have guys like myself who are mostly independent content creators, and journalism, the definition of journalism has just changed so much even in the last 5 to 10 years. What are your opinion on how things have changed literally in front of your face?
Oh, I mean, it's been crazy. Me and Mike, when we were coming up, we just wanted bylines. We wasn't no internet was a baby. There wasn't no Zoom, right? No TikTok, no. I still ain't got on TikTok yet, but my Instagram and X and all that, and in order for me to do TV, I had to learn it. When I was covering the Denver Nuggets 20 years ago, I started doing some TV, and I was asking a lot of producers, what camera do I look at? Yeah, I put on makeup. I didn't put on today because I think I look handsome today.
Yeah, you look good. You look good.
But no, I mean, you're putting on makeup, you're figuring out the cameras, the audio, and all that. And so you have to learn a lot of this. But that's been great for us because coming up, they had Sunday morning the sports writers on ESPN and Sports Reporters, which was an amazing show. There wasn't a lot that where a journalist could be a star, to be in front of the camera, to give their voice. And now you see what Stephen A's doing and some of the other shows now and what women are doing. Certainly social media has a lot of pitfalls and rabbit holes to go into. But there are a lot of, for me to just be in my hotel room and call you on my phone and be live in the studio, it's still pretty incredible to me compared to where we were 20 years ago.
Yeah, no question about it. Mark, we would be remiss if we let you get out of here without looking around the league really quickly. We're going to pull up our Grizz Beat weekly power poll, and it's basically a list of who's hot, who's not, where everyone is going. I got the Nuggets at top, Celtics number 2, and then obviously Mavericks are the best team that we've seen in the league performance-wise over the last month. The Timberwolves are still competing for the number 1 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder with them right there. The Clippers are locked into that first-round series one way or another with the Mavericks. You keep going down the list right there, the Lakers, Bucks, Magic, and Suns. What do you make of how much parity there is? Boston has run away with it record-wise, but they're still not a proven commodity when you get to the conference finals and the NBA finals just yet. What do you make out of this on both sides, and what storyline should we be looking at most going into the NBA play-in and playoffs?
Yeah, well, I mean, the West is going to be a battle royal, man. Like you guys mentioned wrestling early. Remember those battle royals in wrestling in the 80s where there's like 30 dudes in the ring beating each other up? I really feel like from the play-in all the way through to the conference finals, it's going to be an ugly fight. It's going to be a nasty, ugly fight. And by the time the Western Conference Finals done, they're going to be looking like they just got out of the Revolutionary War, man. You're going to have the dude on the drums bleeding. You're going to have the guy next to him walking by with the wrap around his head, trying, you know, like, and the Celtics are going to be there shiny, bright, rested, feeling good. And oftentimes, and the Warriors lost to the Raptors will show you it's not always the best team that wins, although I do think the Celtics are a pretty outstanding team. It's a team that's rested and healthy that wins. And I just think that West teams are just going to beat each other, bludgeon each other so badly that by the time they get to the finals, man, like I think the Celtics will get through relatively calm. And I project the Celtics are going to win because I just think whoever's going to get there from the West is going to be a weathered team once they get to Boston. And Boston does have home court too.
All right, that's the Hall of Famer right there.
Man.
The Kurt Gowdy Award winner in 2023 went into the Basketball Hall of Fame. The Basketball Hall of Fame. Right, in 2023.
Thanks, bro. Hey, man, now that you're talking Memphis, man, you kind of got that Isaac Hayes vibe going, man. you know what I'm saying? The longer you're... The longer you've been here, the more and more you looking like Isaac Hayes, brother. You're cool, man.
Hey, that's
you're
my
a cool
brother,
cat.
man. That's my brother, man. Hey, let me plug what you're going to be doing tonight one more time before we get you out of here, man.
It's sold out, though.
I know.
They better know somebody.
53rd annual steak. I'm hoping I can get in if I know you, man. 53rd annual steak and burger event for the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. Sold out event tonight, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Kent. Marc Spears is going to be the keynote speaker.
I better say something good, right?
You already did, man. You gave us a sneak peek of what you've done. And, listen, man, I'm going to get you out of here, but I got to let the people know, man, every time I get to interact with this brother, every time I get to see him, I tell him how much I appreciate him and how much I love him. And I wouldn't be where I am today if he didn't take me under his wing. You know, one of the first things that he told me when I made that transition that Sane asked about from, traditional print media to digital media, he said, man, you got to get your wardrobe up. And I'm on a trip out in Denver. He's working with Denver at the time, covering the Nuggets. And he took me to get my first tailored suit. And it was Chauncey Billups Taylor, right?
Okay.
And so Mark has
man, you got a good memory. I forgot this story.
He has the Rolodex, man. Like his Rolodex is, at that time, man, no reporter was as connected to players as Mark was. Stephen A. Smith, Adrian Wojnarowski, all of those guys were behind Mark when it came to relationship building. And he took me under his wing, man, took me to Chauncey's shop. They spelled his name wrong in his tailor suit. They spelled my name right. And then we went and kicked it, man, at the All-Star game. He wanted me to look right, man.
Look good, yeah.
And ever since then, like even before then, we've seen each other through some life ups and downs, some tragedies, some losses, job changes. I remember, man, we were in the car crying coming back from that San Antonio when all the pots and pans banging, when you were making your transition to get to ESPN, man. And, it was one of those deals, man, where our careers have intersected, and I'm lucky to have known him. He's a brother. He's a brother in the industry to so many hundreds of guys that have come up. So, Spears, thank you, man. I'm looking forward to your speech. Man. Absolutely. You've helped us here.
Hey, man, if you ain't there, I'm going to have a problem.
Hey, not only am I going to be there, I'm going to bring my guy. I'm going to bring Damon with me, man. He's in town, too, so he's excited to see you. Hey, you got the ring? You got the ring? Flash the ring for us real quick.
Which one?
The Hall of Fame ring,
Which one?
Not my wedding ring, right? What made you think I had it with
me?
Yes, sir.
Back it up. There it is. There it is.
That's it. That is it. Yes, sir.
That's it, man.
Hey, Mark, I wanted to say one thing real quick. You got the sweatshirt on there, Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. We got to work with them back when they had the moniker, the club that beats the streets. A couple of names for you. Penny Hardaway, Ashley Shields. Penny Hardaway came through the Treadwell, the Highland Heights Boys Club, and Ashley Shields was the first player to come out of Memphis and go to junior college and make the WNBA. She got her start. They both got their starts at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Memphis. Great organization.
Well, you know what, my only gripe about being in Memphis, and maybe because Matisse ain't been living here this long, he's from Denver originally. Man, I ain't getting no barbecue, man. I asked the brother to give me barbecue, and he brought me a pork shank. I'm like, what?
You with the wrong dude, man. Yeah. You with the wrong dude.
You got to pick better friends, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Michael hooked you up.
We got to. You guys got to get him right, man. Get him ingrained in Memphis.
Okay. For sure, man. Looking forward to seeing you on the road, brother. I'll catch you on the road in the playoffs at some point.
All right, love you back, man. Sincerely, keep Memphis rolling.
Absolutely. That's Marc Spears, man. Hall of Fame inductee 2023. Brother to so many in the industry, came in and helped us. That was his first appearance on Grizz Beat. It won't be his last. I can guarantee you guys that. And when we come back, we'll wrap this show up. You'll hear from Taylor Jenkins on what's kept the Grizzlies still fighting to the finish line when we get back on Grizz Beat.
He's looking for the hot hand. Jaren got the step, got the flush. There's no layups on that one.
Electric, rowdy, intense. They bring the same mentality that they bring anywhere into the building. If they were mad about something, they're bringing it in. If they were happy about something, they're bringing it in. So we need all that energy times 1,000.
Take your fandom to the next level with the official Grizzlies app. Go all access and behind the scenes.
It's got to be heavy defense. That's where it starts for us.
Personalized to where you are and who you are. Get easy access to ticketing, the game day guide, and your own app customization right at your fingertips. Upgrade your experience and download the Grizzlies app today.
Don't Worry Be Fluffy World Tour.
The minute you get into a brand new relationship, like magic. You know who really notices just how happy you are, guys? Other women, not your woman. Look how happy he is. I bet I can change that.
Friday, May 10th, FedEx Forum. Get your tickets now at fluffyguy.com. Don't miss a Memphis Don't Worry Be Fluffy World Tour.
This is an actual good shoe.
Yeah, it looks like
this
a good
is a
shoe.
real good shoe.
What you think about him, KJ? She likes Cheetos.
Like Cheetos?
Yeah,
You
or
like
nay?
Cheetos?
You like Cheetos? For kids, yeah or nay?
That's what I mean. For kids,
For kids,
1,000%.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was still playing basketball, I played in brightly colored shoes. I wore pink shoes a lot of the time, or purple shoes. I like that. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Back to Grizz Beat, our final segment here at 191 Beale Street. Got a big week ahead for your Memphis Grizzlies. Take a look on the graphic. You see, got the Lakers coming in here Friday. Don't want to see a whole lot of Faker fans in the house. Come on, folks, don't sell your tickets. You know you want to see the Grizzlies come out. No matter who they got in uniform, they'll play the Lakers. It could be, I don't know how many appearances that LeBron James has left in a NBA uniform, much less a Lakers uniform, but they will be here for the final time. And then the final game of the regular season, this will be it. Finito, done. Sunday, 2:30 p.m., the Denver Nuggets, the reigning NBA champions, who are probably on their way to another title if things keep going their way. The Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic and all that crew, Jamal Murray and everybody, they still got something to play for. They want to win that top spot and get the home court for the playoffs throughout the playoffs. The Denver Nuggets, well, I think Boston would have that, wouldn't they? If Boston wins, they would have home court.
They got the best. Yeah,
they got the best overall record, but Denver would be right up there. That is the final game of the regular season for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, coming up, we've talked about in our segment on, the question who has the most pressure. I think Taylor Jenkins was the the thought of Anthony Sane. And Taylor Jenkins has had a lot on his plate this year, but the Grizzlies have been fighting to the last end in pretty much every game. You cannot fault the effort that they've given, and they've been able to achieve some of their goals, to do some of the things they wanted to do during the year despite all the injuries. Taylor Jenkins talks about what went well for the Grizzlies this year.
And one of the hardest things, trying to find chemistry and consistency throughout the season is still maintaining your identity. Obviously, I think we've cracked the 30 mark in terms of how many different guys have put on a Grizzlies uniform this season, but you always hear me talk about the standard at which we play. Obviously our offense is significantly got to get better. It's stuff that we're evaluating throughout this season, but motivation in the offseason individually and collectively where we got to get better. But we know one of our calling cards has been our defensive activity, and that's a credit to our group. With the success that we've had in previous years, they understand that our success has been predicated on our defensive activity. It's not just one individual's responsibility. Obviously we've had all NBA defensive players, we've had defensive player of the year, but it's predicated on 5 guys at any given moment going out there and executing whatever our coverages are, our system. So it's impressive. Deflections was something we talked about. I think we took a dip last year and trying to get back to making that disruptive nature a big factor on our defensive side. We've got to get better rebounding. There's so many things we got to clean up, but the fact that we're holding firm and being pretty good defensively, despite guys coming in and out of the lineup, is just a testament to their commitment to having that identity.
Yeah, and speaking to that identity, that's really something, fellas, to be able to go through, 53 starting lineups, 189, 11 million players have worn Grizzly uniforms this year, but still that constant defense has been there. And defense can win for you. You got the cavalry coming back, but at least being able to instill in those guys, who's ever put on the Beale Street Blue, that this is the way you got to play if you want to be a Memphis Grizzly.
Yeah, one of the things. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, with like I was saying earlier about how the pressure is going to be on them next year, right? That's one of the things that no matter how you want to criticize Taylor Jenkins, you have to give him credit for some of the things we've seen this year. For this team to have a high-ranking defense with this type of situation, like I don't even know how that's even possible. Like how are you teaching anything to these guys? You know what I mean? And to see the level of intensity and some of the big wins they got, the teams that they upset, teams that were at full strength playing against them, and this team beat this year. You have to give them credit for that, and just give the players credit for that as well, man. Like I said, like giving Jaren credit for the things, because if you're talking about a team who's been a top 15, top 10, I believe, even defensive team this year, you have to look at Jaren Jackson Jr. as being a big part of that. You're a former defensive player of the year last year, even though his block numbers are down. All things considered, you have to give Taylor Jenkins credit for just holding this together, like that. Insane amount of guys he's had to coach this year alone, and just facing guys in and out, and finding guys like, even though guys like Gigi and Vince didn't get opportunities, once they got those opportunities causing injuries, able to use those guys and utilize those guys and make them look like great players for the future.
Yeah, everyone, and I'll piggyback on that. Everyone that was pressed into opportunity responded for the most part. Everyone. We're seeing Jake LaRavia finish out a season, if nothing else, healthy and available.
Right.
That was something he wasn't the first year and a half.
The best ability is availability.
We're seeing G.G. Jackson blossom into, he's probably going to make an all-rookie team if he has a chance to from that standpoint. Vince Williams, 4-year contract. G.G., 4-year contract. Scottie Pippen Jr., cast off by the Lakers. Now he's got a chance to be on the roster moving forward. Brandon Clark came back.
Right.
So these guys are putting a nice finishing touch. And the question that I asked Taylor that set up that soundbite was basically predicated on the Grizzlies being number one in the NBA, in the NBA in loose balls recovered, and also number one in deflections, right? So they're also top 5 in total defensive rating.
Wow.
They're top 5 in steals and blocks. So when you're looking at those things, and I was shocked.
Right.
I follow these guys every day. I'm looking at
what?
the stats, and I'm like, we're at game 79, and this team is 25 games under 500, way out of the playoff contention. Everyone else who's sharing those distinctions in the top 5 with them are legitimate playoff contenders. So these guys are doing something right. They just have to fill in, like he said. Offensively, this has to be a breakthrough year when all these guys come back.
And when you look at it, I get those alerts on my phone in the NBA, the last 5 minutes, close game alert. The Grizzlies are always in it. And it's like, how are they doing that when they shooting 39%, 42%? Well, they're playing defense, and that's one thing that has resonated through this season. And the players, shout out to them, and the coaching staff are somehow keeping their heads in the game enough. And you got to say some of it. These guys are fighting for contracts. They're going to scratch, claw, and do whatever they can to stay in the league. But they're doing it within a team concept where they're giving the Grizzlies a chance to win. And that, as a season ticket holder and a fan, which I am, that is, you appreciate seeing that effort on the floor. And if you get that same kind of effort out of the guys when the cavalry comes back, the flag, they're blowing the horn and everything. John, everybody gets paid. If you get that same kind of effort, the sky's the limit, and the limit is the sky for this team coming up next year. But 2 games left. You got the Lakers Friday. You got Denver coming in here Sunday. Then will be the off season. We'll have it all for you right here on Grizz Beat. I want to thank Anthony Sane from coming in here from Bluff City Media. We appreciate. He was a last-second addition. I had to make the call to him, and he answered the call. So shout out, clap to you, Anthony Sane. Of course, the guru of Grind City Media himself, the great Michael Wallace. We always appreciate you being on, and it was a great get for you to get Marc Spears from ESPN to come on. He's going to be at the Steak and Burger dinner tonight for the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. We're all Memphis here. We appreciate you out there, and check us out again next week when we will be back with another edition of Grizz Beat. See you then.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of Grizz Beat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.